It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a weekly podcast where we talk about everything that's great. Like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh, yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week, we're discussing the Jon Stewart casting confirmation for the DCU, Mike.
It's a confusing mental hurdle because my only Jon Stewart reference point is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. So I gotta pivot back around to comic books.
Daily Show Jon Stewart was not cast in the DCU. This is a Green Lantern Jon Stewart. Arguably, who was first, Mike? I don't know. We're going to dive into some Doomsday level MCU rumors that have been taking over at least my feed. I don't know about yours. You tend to get some different ones, but I'd be interested to know if you've seen any of this so far when we get to it. Spider-Man might be teaming up with Venom. I don't know if this is true or not, but we're gonna break it down. What happens if it is? What happens if it isn't? Who wins? Who loses? And more this week, Mike.
That reminds me, I swear I saw a screenshot online somewhere that showed Tom Holland's like Instagram bio or something that said, big announcement coming tomorrow or something. And that was a few days ago. I never followed up on that. Obviously, it wasn't big enough to where it broke the internet in any way. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah.
I feel like every time like a celebrity is like touting a big announcement, it's just like, oh, I've partnered with like Adidas and now I'm like a shoe sponsor or something.
I'm drinking Prime energy drinks now, guys. Take a look at this.
It's always what it is. It's Prime.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not. I know what you're talking about vaguely. I kind of put a bookmark on that, like a little like follow up on this, and I've seen nothing at all. So my guess is maybe he went out and had the Krabby Patty meal at Wendy's and then was too disappointed to post about it. So
big announcement, very disappointed.
Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that. So we'll talk food here because I've been sending Mike nothing but food and snack announcements, screenshots, and reels the past week anyway. And I would say the Krabby Patty meal's out, and it is a Dave single with Thousand Islands. Folks, don't get excited about it. Like, it's fun to see all the people pretending to be Plankton or playing, the rave song. What is it called? The Jellyfish Jam song at the drive-thrus. Those are fun. The Wendy's employees don't deserve that. Okay, they're there to just cook some fast food and go home. Like, nobody really wants to be subject to that. But the food's it's not that exciting. The pineapple frosty is just a regular frosty with pineapple sauce. Boo, I say white frosty, not a chocolate frosty. And then today, I don't know if Mike even knew about this, but I sent him the Addams Family meals from Burger King that had the purple Wendy's Whopper, which is literally a purple bun on a Whopper and some Swiss cheese, and then the Gomez churro fries you can get at Burger King right now, which I think much better than Wendy's offerings. If I could say so.
I feel like we need to mark this down on our calendars. Is October just the month for like stunt burgers at fast food places? Because we both got to try the chicken Big Mac at the beginning of the week, and friend of the show Quentin Parker also went out and got his as well. So props to McDonald's for kind of nailing the simultaneous countrywide launch. We all were in different parts of the country. We're able
different
to get it within like a day or two
even?
each other.
It was great.
Yeah. Exactly. My wife surprised me with it. She was coming home from an appointment, and she's like, "Did you eat lunch yet?" And I was like, "No." And she said, "Don't." So I was wondering what was going to come through the door, and then I'm glad I brought up my excitement for the chicken Big Mac because I don't think she would have thought to get it for me. And so I was excited to try it. It's exactly what we all thought it was going to be, of giant discs of McNuggets inside of it.
I was going to say that's an interesting point because I told my in-laws, I'm like, we have the chicken Big Mac, and they were like, oh, so it's just like 2 McChickens on the Big Mac. I'm like, no, it's not McChickens. It's chicken nugget style chicken on this thing. It's an entirely different beast in and of itself. Yeah,
it's weird. I do truly appreciate the fact that they created a new item, which is they had to start a new pressing line on the McNugget factory floor, to make these big discs. So I do like that. But in my opinion, it just totally gets lost inside of the Big Mac. There's a lot going on in a Big Mac. You got the Big Mac sauce, you got all the lettuces, you got the extra bun, and I feel like
really it. There's not a lot in there actually.
I know, but I feel like the beef is the only thing that really can cut through it. Because I was biting into it and I was like, well, this is good, but I could not even discern the chicken inside of it in any way. So it made me think, oh, maybe a McChicken actually would be a better swap inside of this. Maybe you could perceive it a little bit more.
And I told you, my experience was like, it's fine, but it's super dry because a chicken nugget by itself is not a moist item at McDonald's, right? And I felt like it was so dry, and I'm like, well, maybe if I maybe took some McNugget dipping sauce and poured it over it a little bit as I went, like, you know, maybe tried some spicy mustard or whatever your poison is, it might have taken it up a notch. But I was joking that I should have just got it plain and just like put the big nugget inside of like a small chicken nugget box and like pretend I was eating it somewhere else. I'm like, oh my god, look at this huge nugget.
We got to put the big nugget inside of one of the crunch wraps at Taco Bell.
Oh yeah.
Since they're already shoving that big cheese in there, and I feel like we're on to something. My wife kind of unknowingly also got me nuggets with the chicken nugget Big Mac.
Oh.
And so I kind of got to look at them both side by side. The dryness that you're experiencing could be coming from the fact that the big flat McNugget is thinner. So I don't know if maybe they fried it a little bit too long or what the deal is, but yeah, a normal nugget way juicier than the thing they're putting in that Big Mac. But like I say, this is way better than just like shipping out a Thousand Island to Wendy's and just like squirting it on a Dave single, right?
Yeah.
So we just got to make a mental note. October is the month for these stunt burgers because I'm curious to see if the same thing is going to happen next year because we like snacks, we like the fun, we like the fanfare. Maybe this is like fall fast food season or something.
We need to check up on White Castle, see if they have anything special going on their burgers for fall right now. Because they used to do the was it the ghost pepper? I think they had like since ghosts and Halloween season, like a ghost pepper one that was like seasonal, but like you can only add so much spicy things before you're like, yeah, we've done it, we've seen that everywhere. So, but overall food was good, and excited to experience some different things out there, and I think that was fun for me. On the flip side of that, I've been reliving my childhood, Mike. I don't know if you ever played the Dragon Ball Budokai games or Budokai Tenkaichi video games.
I played them back in my day.
Yeah, so we finally got a sequel after 17 years. The last one came out in 2007. The new one came out this year, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. And it is by far, this is not a competitive fighting game. This is not Street Fighter, Tekken games. These are like, hey, if I'm going to go in with, Saiyan Saga Goku against one of the newer, like, Vegetas, like, I'm going to get my ass whooped. I don't have the health bars. I don't have the power-ups. I'm not hitting strong. You can beat them if you play smart, but, like, the power scaling is still in the characters. I think that's a really cool feature. But I've just been playing through the story mode. Everyone's like, oh, the cutscenes are sucky. I'm like, this is the same Dragon Ball story that's been out since 1989, Mike. Like, they're not changing the anime that we've been watching for 30 years, right? So it's been really fun to play and just kind of see people's reactions online. I know it was like one of the best-selling games this week, and obviously online because it's a new game. But I've been having a great time playing it and reliving some of those battles from different characters' points of view. So I don't know if you're so you probably you've been out of Dragon Ball for a little bit, right? You're not in it right now, so
yeah, I'm still poking my way through the wastelands of Fallout at the moment. And every once in a while I dip into that Mario Wonder game that came out like a year ago. So
that's a good one.
Dragon Ball still fond. I still have a lot of fond nostalgia for Dragon Ball, but I haven't dipped into any games in a while.
I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, the chicken Big Mac meal at McDonald's, I think, is that like a Jujutsu Kaisen crossover meal? Is that what they called it whenever it's in the app? It's like,
I don't think I didn't see any crossover. I think it's just what it is.
Okay, well, in the app, if you click on it, it's only under if you press the crossover button or whatever. So, I was like, well, that's cool that there's like an anime or something. I guess maybe there was like a sauce or something that came with it. But I was like, boy, I'm really surprised they didn't do like a Dragon Ball meal at McDonald's, right, or something to tie in with the games. You know how like they like to do like tie-ins like that, so I was really surprised about that. And then today, so for those who may not know, one of our cats had her leg amputated last week. So she's in isolation. And I say isolation, she has her own bedroom, she has her own mattresses, her TV, she gets fed better than I do. It's really, a cat hotel. But, she has to wear a collar when we're not around so she doesn't lick her stitches out. And so today I decided to sit in with her for a bit. And while she was taking a nap with me, I decided to watch Hellboy, the Crooked Man, Mike, because we're in spooky season. And this movie is now out on streaming for those who may be interested in purchasing it. I don't think it's for renting. I think it's only purchasing right now. And, it's hard to describe this. Yeah, so I had a good time. It's not the best movie in the world, but like, if you're expecting Hellboy, the last 3 Hellboy movies, and expecting something similar, you're gonna be very let down, because this is like, the movie just starts. He's on a train with someone from the BPRD, the other main character, or those 3 main characters. It's a girl, Hellboy, and they're transporting a spider possessed by a demonic entity. And when the spider's possessed, it grows to Harry Potter size spider, right? Mm-hmm. And something enrages the spider, and they all get knocked off the train, so they have to hunt the spider, and that kicks off the whole thing. There's no origin story. There's no Nazis. It's 1959, and they're in the middle of Appalachia. They fell off a train track. No phones, no TVs, nothing like that, right? And then the story just picks up and goes, and it is very, a bunch of witches out in the world, out in this part of the woods, and dealing with the Crooked Man, who's actually in it a lot more than I thought it would be from the trailer. So I think it's a fun tight little horror film. Not a lot of characters. Very personal story for Hellboy and the other main guy who's coming along the way, which is really cool. But if you're expecting he's gonna be punching demons and fighting the devil himself and all this other stuff, that is not this Hellboy movie by any means. So well, I would say, would the responses to the trailers that we saw out on the internet be accurate to the content in the movie, or did this end up being a lot better than what the internet was predicting it would be? I think it's better than the internet predicted it to be. There is shoddy CGI, right? This is like a $20 million movie. There are a few moments of really bad CGI. Like, there's a couple animals that they have in here, and it's bad. But I'm they're only in there for 4 times, and the whole thing, everything else is shot to be kind of close up, so you don't have to have full sets, right? They're not filming on green screen. It's out in the middle of the woods, real sets, or at least real locations. So I think it's better than that. The Jack Casey, I think is the name of the character, the guy who plays Hellboy. He does a really good job with Hellboy, but it is not the Golden Army, whatever the Golden Army follow up, or the one that's he's swinging around trees against huge giants from the last movie, right? It's much more he's dealing with witches and zombies. Do you think overall, because I do want to watch this movie, because it's not so much I am a Hellboy fanatic, but I'm more curious if this is just an avenue and a strategy for kind of superhero comic book IP, moving forward. Instead of holding on to an IP and trying to crank as much box office tentpole dollars out of it as possible, can you throw as little money as possible and just try to maximize the return, whether or not it ends up breaking any records? So I'm curious if you felt could you see maybe the theoretical Spawn movie that's kind of in this vein being successful? So that's a good question. So I think you bring up, this and Spawn have an interesting connection. And it's that the creators of the characters are very much involved with the production of the film, right? McFarlane is Spawn. He was writing the script, and then Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy, was writing the script on this. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think comic book people or whatever can come over and tell a good story, but you have to have a good director behind it, right? Someone who knows how to bring that to life. The Crooked Man looks a lot literally, if you just picked up a Hellboy comic book off the shelf today, Mike, any random one, this feels like a standalone adventure that shot very dark, very contrasty, looks just like a comic book, and I think that works for this. But I think Spawn, being as more fantastical as he is, right? He has the hook and chain, the wings, a lot more reliance on CG. I don't think that would work, but I could see other small comic books, indie comic books, right? Like things that aren't owned by Marvel or DC, things at Dark Horse or Image, getting this kind of treatment and getting good responses and financial returns on it.
Good to know. I'm gonna try to fit this one into my schedule. Maybe I won't be able to watch it all at once, maybe in parts, but yeah. Very curious. But thanks for reminding me that it exists. Yeah, I forgot about it.
Absolutely, it's an hour and a half. It's a brisk hour and a half. It doesn't linger. It, like I said, the story starts and it just goes, and then it gets to a good ending point and it's over. So like it feels just like like we mentioned before, like you don't have to know the history of Hellboy. You kind of pick it up, you just kind of go into it, and it's him with a gun fighting demons in the woods. So it's pretty interesting. I would say the one thing I wish I did do is turn on subtitles, because those Appalachian accents, them real nice draws, like not Southern draws, but like, you can't understand some of the people in here. So I'm like, I need to turn that on next time. So that would be my recommendation. But yeah, if I wouldn't, if you want to see it, I'd watch it. But like if you're like on the fence, kind of like Mike is, I wouldn't rush out and buy it for like, was it $25? I'd wait until it's on the streaming service for sure. Moving into movies that are not doing well financially, Mike, and we're going to talk about Joker 2 probably a couple more times here. And last weekend we reported it was going to make on par with Morbius, around $39 million. Apparently it made less than expected at $37.2 million. And this weekend it had a drop off. I think it was like 82% or higher. The second, it is the worst drop from first weekend to second weekend ever for a superhero movie. And I think they said it was 82%, which is not good when we talk about word of mouth and legs, right, Mike, in movies. I think Beetlejuice, which is on VOD, came in third over this movie, and it has been out forever.
Also not a good sign when James Gunn has to make official statements of like, this is not a DC Universe movie. There's a reason you didn't see the new DC logo in front of it when you went to the theaters, and you only saw the Warner Brothers logo. It's pretty crazy, right? Because it's like, I get it from both angles, right? You brought back the exact same creative team that made this kind of totally unexpected financial hit the first time around. So you think, yeah, let's roll the dice and do another one. The big mistake was increasing everyone's payday just absolutely ludicrously. I understand every time you make a subsequent outing, you got to pay your actors a little bit more, your writers, directors. But yeah, that just absolutely ballooned up. I heard a story out there that that getting Lady Gaga in the movie was kind of not a last minute decision, but like a last minute strategic financial pull, where they kind of had to throw a lot at her just to get her at the very last second before they had to kind of pivot and go a different direction.
I think $12 million was her payday for the movie. There's a lot of articles out there. Like I'm taking them all again with my grain of salt, because it's all about the blame game now, right? Who's at fault, who's not at fault is what it feels like when a movie crashes. And right now they're like, Joaquin Phoenix said the movie came to him in a dream, and Todd Phillips is like, well, we wanted to actually do this as like a short run Broadway play first, or instead of a movie. And then it's like, who's really at fault? And I blame David Zaslav for just greenlighting it, right? We didn't need a sequel, and it feels like no one really wanted to make a sequel when I watched this. So I blame him. He's an easy target right now. He makes a lot of bad decisions. So
yeah, I think technically on paper this might have been greenlit before he took the reins, but as we've seen, he clearly has the ability to axe movies at any point in their development cycle. Yeah. So either way, but yeah, I'm not too surprised. But also, we have made almost 500 episodes of this podcast where we talk about superhero comic book stuff every single week. And I couldn't even get myself out of the house to go see the movie. So that just goes to show you there either something flawed in the marketing, something flawed with the concept of the movie. Like you just couldn't get butts in seats, and that was the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I pulled up just to make sure. David Zaslav did greenlight this because he wanted to recover from the losses the company suffered throughout 2021 due to sending a lot of their films to Max. So he did greenlight that.
Well, this was not the way to do it, Zaz.
Yes, and I think he did it like 2 months, or they started production 2 months before James Gunn and Peter Safran came online. And I don't even think they would have done anything. But either way, it's not a good look. It's not a good look at all. So I would be more excited to hear your reaction to that movie than Hellboy, Mike, if I'm gonna make a request from you. So if you get a chance to peek at that one. Good news in the DC world. Lanterns, the series, they have officially cast Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, the Green Lantern, the DC character. People may know him from Justice League Unlimited or other Justice League kind of shows kind of growing up. Aaron Pierre, he's recently been in the movie. Oh my gosh, I had myself prepped to say for this. It's on Netflix, Hacksaw Ridge, which is getting a lot of attention. Gathering up. He was also in the Krypton TV show. He's been around quite a bit, and will be voicing Mufasa in the Mufasa movie coming up, Mike.
I mean, you look at the guy; he looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good direction with the casting. And then we have I cannot remember the guy's name. I always just call him Coach. Showing up in Lanterns. On the other end. What is his name? Oh, Kyle Chandler. That's what it is.
Yes. Yes.
I'm looking forward to this duo. I want to see what do live action Green Lanterns look like done right. Mm-hmm. Right? Like we've only seen like very unsuccessful or glimpses of them in other projects. So I'm really excited to see how they nail this one.
Absolutely. And I think if they get this right and they move on to a different season. They have these two. They have Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, in the Superman movie. But I want to get to Kyle Rayner, who was another Green Lantern. And the difference between Kyle Rayner and all these other people is that these guys are more military, right? Hal Jordan was a Air Force pilot. I forget what Jon Stewart was, but like they're very like militant, if you will. And Kyle Rayner, yes, all these Green Lantern names get me confused. He was an artist, so like when he created his Green Lantern constructs, he came from the mindset of an artist rather than someone making guns and battle weapons at the end of the day. And I would love to see that character and what, like you mentioned, done well in a Green Lantern with the constructs. So we'll take a look at that. Some other news in the Lantern series. The series is reportedly eyeing actress Kelly MacDonald as Boardwalk Empire as the love interest for Hal Jordan. Reportedly, she will be a sheriff from a town in the show, but not Carol Ferris, which I don't know if you remember at all, Mike, was played by Blake Lively in the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds.
All right.
Carol Ferris also becomes the Star Sapphire, who's another Lantern, which is like the Pink Lantern Corps, if you will. And she still could exist in this universe as, obviously we're going for older Hal Jordan, but I don't know. I got a lot of hope for this show, Mike. Right? I always say Green Lantern's my favorite DC property. Sounds like they're putting some work into it to make it happen. So, anything else on Lanterns before we swap into the Marvel news, which is going to be the rest of the show. Feels like.
Let's swap.
All right, MCU. So this is a little bit of fun bit for me. So some rumor from a well-known scoopers. Oh, we have a lot of scoopers in this. This one's My Time to Shine. Hello. I don't know if you've ever heard of them or not. But they're rumored to be developing the first ever MCU-set video game. So you would actually get to play alongside the heroes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, rather than games that are like adjacent to it, I guess, if you will.
I mean, we've talked about this before when we've mentioned, I think Gunn and Safran also kind of want united video games and their story at some point in time. It's the development time, right? It takes so long to make these things that it seems like your best thing that you can do is maybe go back in time and try to carve out like a prequel story. That way your bookends are already set and you just kind of explore in an area, which kind of helps my prequelitis a little bit, because I always hate it when I know what is already going to happen with these characters. But in a video game, story's only one element. The whole other component is just having a fun, addicting gameplay mechanic.
Yep.
So it would be kind of cool to see these characters rendered on screen, because even though like the Insomniac Spider-Man universe is amazing and the addition of Wolverine looks really, really cool, it is kind of like lacking, like, oh, they can't really bring in that classic like Avengers score through like any of the levels. We don't have any like visual similarities. They kind of have to build up their own world, which is not a bad thing, but I would be curious to see how they could add through a video game.
And I'm and I hate to say, the one that comes to mind is like a multiversal video game, right? Like maybe you get to your character from a different universe. Maybe you have different powers. Like, can you imagine like playing a video game where you get to create the sling ring portals? Obviously you can do it like Marvel Rivals, but that's like a busier game. But like maybe you get access to people's abilities around you as well. Because I'm trying to, what kind of person would you be in this? Like just a normal human? That'd be kind of sucky, right? To just exist and do stuff around. But like if you're able to like, oh, I get maybe some Iron Man gauntlets, or like a Doctor Strange sling ring, or a shield block thing, or the ability to utilize some of their powers would be interesting in that regard. Now I did want to say that this is not part of the current video games that have been announced for Marvel, and not having ones in the MCU are just fine, because we've talked about Marvel 1943, Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man by EA, Wolverine, as you mentioned, by Sony. There's a Black Panther solo game in the works, and the Blade solo game in the works as well. So I would like you said, I'd love an MCU-set video game. What if it's that they use that King Thanos that we've seen in the Disney rides?
That'd be kind of cool.
To fight.
Like, this is weird. Like, this is like a concept that I would welcome, but I don't think is necessary either. Just because they've given us such good stuff already with Spider-Man. I love the idea of this, like, World War II Black Panther thing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, either way, I feel like the Marvel universe, just in video games in general, has been improving over the years. So it's like, well, everything's getting better. So whatever direction they point, as long as it's good, that's all I care about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think hopefully the quality seems to be, like you said, lifted. So we'll report back as we get more details. But they have a lot of options in there. Moving on to Avengers Doomsday. This is we got some interesting, I would say, spicy rumors. Would you call these spicies? As we kind of get into them. But both Avengers movies, Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars, are to feature secondary villains to replace the Council of Kangs. And the previous drafts of the script that were reported before the rewrites and the recasting had different Avengers teams fighting Kang variants. So there would be a team up against Rama Tut, a team against Scarlet Centurion, and a team against Immortus, who we saw at the end of Kang Quantumania, right? Mm-hmm. So they're just going to be essentially replacing, these Kang variants with other villains, either through assignment by Doom or creation by Doom, if you will, which works out. I think the idea of multiple Avengers teams fighting different areas is interesting to me, right? We kind of get a little bit of that Infinity War, and I think it'd be, and I guess in the in-game, when they went to different time zones, they were fighting different things, or going up against different obstacles. So I think this is a pretty cool idea at the end of the day for these movies.
Yeah, I think one thing that's going to be really helpful in general is we just need the characters to reunite on screen again, so they can reset the stakes of everything. Because we've been trying to kind of reboot these new phases and build up to a new Avengers world, but everyone has been relatively sporadic, off in their own worlds, and I can't even like imagine them interacting just yet, to form like a cohesive like new Avengers team. Whether you like Joss Whedon or not anymore, he's aged like milk with his time in Hollywood. It seems like he did a really good job in the first Avengers movie of bringing all the characters on screen together, and like them working through their drama and coming together as a team for like fighting a greater good. I'm kind of curious what is going to be the villain that unites everybody, because it was pretty easy in the Avengers movie, right? Like aliens come out through a portal, attack New York, or just like Loki showing up, and is he in Germany or is he New York when he like steals the something from that museum. Was
Yeah,
it the scepter he steals from the museum?
It's not the scepter. He has the scepter the whole time. He steals the power supply to power the cube to open up the portals.
Yeah, so it's just like I wonder like what is going to be the inciting incident, right? Like something needs to happen to bring all these characters together, and I'm really curious what that is going to be. And I guess it sounds like previously it was going to be like a random Kang showing up causing some havoc.
I think it'll be incursions. I think it was always incursions, right? The two planets crashing together, but obviously they probably were like, oh well, these Kang variants, this is one of them's universe, and he's going to fight to keep alive, and here's another one. So my guess is going to be the incursions, but instead of a Kang thing, it'll be, instead of Kang proper, it'll be Dr. Doom saying, I will save you all, and kind of pull you together, becoming like a god Doom. But we'll get to see that because, the other point here is, Doom and Mr. Fantastic dynamic has been reported to be similar to Tony and Thanos in Infinity War Endgame. They knew each other, but they didn't have a lot of screen time together, right? Just the first movie, the battle on Titan, and then the second one, the end battle there. So it's going to be interesting to see these two interact in there because we haven't met Pedro Pascal's Mr. Fantastic, but obviously he's going to be very intelligent, very smart, probably the smartest person in these two movies, and they're going to have to utilize him to go up against Victor Von Doom, if you will. But for those people who love reading their spicy novels, this is where the rumors really get interesting. And that is that Wanda / the Scarlet Witch is to be the Baroness and love interest to Doctor Doom in these movies. And he will be... Yeah, go ahead.
The witchy side of Marvel is absolutely heating up in my social media algorithms. People talking about Agatha all the time in my feeds. So I'm guessing that there is a lot of heat over at Marvel to bring Wanda back in a big way, and this seems like a pretty big way.
Yeah, we've known for how many years we've been reporting they're doing a Wanda movie, right? Like, I don't think it's brand new, but it probably helps. But like, Doctor Doom will be helping reshape realities and traverse the multiverse with her powers. And we know that she has some multiversal powers and the ability to reshape realities. And there is a comic book for people like, oh my god, I've never shipped them before. Well, there is comic book source that does this. There's a series called Children's Crusade, which was the follow-up to House of M. So House of M is where she says no more mutants, and then afterwards she had lost her memory and was living alongside Victor Von Doom in Latveria. So she didn't know who she was. She didn't know who her kids were, who were created out of the House of M, all this other stuff. So there is comic book stories based on this already. So it's not like, oh my gosh, they're just making something up to, feed that. So I'm excited to see how those play into this at all.
Yeah, we saw Wanda get crushed by a bunch of rocks.
Wanda.
Or at least our Wanda,
yeah,
in a way. So I could see maybe Doctor Doom showing up in our universe using his Latverian magic to maybe resurrect her in some sort of way, and kind of making her his puppet.
He could have chosen another universe as Wanda as well, or maybe his universe.
True.
If it's a different one, I think that'd be fine. And then at the end, whenever we're supposed to merge them together, she's the one remaining, right? Because we have heard a lot of rumors that there will be more Wanda content and Vision content, and possibly even her kids showing up at some point as well. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Wink, wink. Other rumors for Doomsday: the team, Avengers team proper, not just small teams, are to be led by Captain Marvel and Sam Wilson's Captain America, which we Brie Larson was last seen in the Marvels, and Sam Wilson will be in Captain America Brave New World next year. So that makes sense, right? It seems like the people with captain in their titles will be the captains of the team, if you will. So
yeah, we'll have to see if they can elevate the characters kind of past their last outings, which, critically maybe have been mixed, but I would say just less enthusiasm overall, as a broad sense. Like, imagine Captain America Chris Evans' last outing as Captain America, you know, before he was leading people in Endgame. And then we have our two other captains showing up that, I don't know, it's just been a mixed reception. Well, so I would hope like a good writer and a good director can just like reground everything and just make everything exciting again.
Well, I would love to see where the Avengers stand after Brave New World, right? We've seen in the trailer a dozen times that Harrison Ford wants to, you know, recreate the Avengers. We know Thunderbolts might be Avengers, new Avengers. I want to see where that kind of is, right at the end of it, because from what I could tell in the Brave New World trailer, Sam Wilson doesn't even have his Wakandan / vibranium suit. So I think there's still opportunity for him. I don't think if we see Brie Larson again, I will be very surprised before the movie proper, right? So if we hear anything else, or we I guess if we see her next year, we'll let you guys know. Another rumor was that Thor and Sylvie, which is obviously a Loki variant from the show Loki, are to meet on screen in these movies as well. That's a fun little fact. I hadn't even thought about them meeting, right? Because to Thor, Loki has been dead since Endgame or Infinity War. And the scooper also said, "Oh, go ahead." No,
that's like a great point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, because Thor's just like been dealing with the grief and loss of his brother by the Mad Titan. And then to think, oh, yeah, there is a version of his Loki, technically, I guess, part of a different timeline, that is out there that has just absolutely redeemed himself and is the only thing that's holding the universe together as it is. I think that would be that's going to be a cool moment. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a Thor moment we need after kind of like Love and Thunder, right? Like something that has that actual gravitas to it and means something with that connection and all the time they shared. And then lastly, in the Avengers world, the scooper has also said that he's, quote unquote, "I'm very excited because it will feature some of the most important storylines." Oh, this is next year. Next year's movies will feature some of the most important storylines that will set up the groundwork for Doomsday and Secret Wars. So it sounds like next year's movies, we know 3, possibly 4 with Blade, if it comes out on time, will be leading this up. And I hesitate to say, yeah, I believe this, because 2 of the movies I see very connected to each other, right? Captain America, Brave New World, Thunderbolts, very much in the American set. Hey, you know, this is espionage and, you know, political veins. The Fantastic Four is going to be multiversal, obviously, and probably set up some of that. I just don't know how. I'd love to believe this and say, yes, they can do it. I'm excited to see what the storylines are set up next year, Mike, through post-credit scenes in shows.
We'll be here patiently waiting to find out.
I was also trying to think of the shows next year, and really it's Daredevil. I don't see Daredevil doing anything that large either. And what was the other? Is it possibly Ironheart, I think, next year as well? So, speaking of Ironheart, one of the Fortnite updated shop last night. Guess who's a skin in Fortnite, Mike?
Can I guess it's Ironheart?
It's Mephisto.
Oh,
I'm like those sons of bitches. They're learning this 4 years late, but they found out people want to buy Mephisto, so we'll see if that's a popular skin. Moving in, we talked about Thunderbolts here a little bit, and I know I'm very excited for this movie. I'm very biased, obviously, with the Century coming out, but the rumor is that Val, played by Julie Louis-Dreyfus, will be associated with other MCU villains, creating sort of like the MCU's version of the Cabal, which was the Dark Avengers, like, you know, all the villains were conspiring together. The rumor is hinted at being Wilson Fisk, Zhu Jialing, and possibly Sharon Carter. There's no guarantee on Sharon Carter, but the other 2, Wilson Fisk and Shang-Chi's sister, being the, you know, running some, I wouldn't say being villains, but, you know, running like, hey, we want things to run our way, and we're going to do it the shady way kind of deal. So,
yeah, I think it makes sense that something like this would pop up. I mean, we've been kind of thinking that maybe something along those lines could be like motivating a MCU version of like Norman Osborn at some point in time. But it makes sense for like a human to come in and try to be evil, where it seems like most of the time these threats have been either extraterrestrial or just kind of like palette swapped versions of the characters that I turned evil at the same time when you turned good, so I'm the villain this time around. So it makes sense that humans would see an opportunity, kind of like it's really underrated because it doesn't have a ton of screen time, but when Hawkeye loses his family in Endgame, and he's out there like massacring all of these villains that kind of have used this opportunity of the blip to rise to power. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That would happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this feels like, right? It's like, it's not Loki and Doctor Doom and like a bunch of very powerful people conspiring together. It's like these are people who are like, they're bad guys. I wouldn't say they're evil. They're bad guys trying to make money or, run their own criminal empires in next to each other. And they probably got some like, there's some rules we all follow. We're all bad guys, but we follow these rules so we don't, cause issues with each other. So I would love to see that because like you mentioned being the opposite, like Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, and Daredevil are not palette swaps of each other. They're truly opposite people, right? And that's really fun to see in there. Moving on, some more reports, more rumors along the way. I love the rumor mill. It's churning out all this good stuff. Moon Knight will return, and I quote, Marvel has an idea that's really exciting according to them. They didn't give us the details.
Man, I haven't thought about Moon Knight in such a long time.
I would love to see him next to the Defenders and like the street level people. Like Daredevil, if they bring back Luke Cage, whatever. We'll talk about Daredevil next, but I would love to see him in that level of the game, right? We don't need to see fictional deities fighting over the pyramids. You could probably bring him down a little bit more and deal with that kind of stuff and make it more relatable. So the only other opposite way that I would agree to Moon Knight having these huge deities is if he fights, or if he goes up against Black Panther, because they also have like their Panther deities, right? So
yeah,
I would love to either go big or go small. Don't middle range it again at the end of the day. Moving into Daredevil, I'm excited for this show, Mike. This is a show that has got my ears perked up for next April, May, right? Like whatever movies are going on, this is going to be awesome. Season 2. Which is the back 9 episodes of the 18 that were ordered. The production begins in a few weeks. And Season 2 is also rumored to debut after Spider-Man 4. So I don't think Season 2 will be a multiversal season, Mike. I think they'll keep it, either in between or outside of the Secret Wars, Doomsday stuff, right? Like land on each side of it. That way they don't have to deal with multiversal stuff with Daredevil. Sound good to you?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to keep him street level unless you want to inject a bunch of CG into the show. Yeah. If Daredevil wants to fight a bunch of like aliens or things from another universe, I mean, I'm down for it, but something tells me that's going to run up the budget.
Yeah, exactly. And then also, the only way I can say, do it is if they bring in multiversal versions of the other heroes, and we're going to talk about that because in this, we've heard Daredevil, Mayor Fisk will be hunting vigilantes, and Season 2 might see the rumored return of Colleen Wing, played by Jessica Henwick. From Iron Fist. Danny Rand, Finn Jones himself, who we don't want to come back, is rumored to return as Iron Fist Master, the new Iron Fist Master, rather than the actual hero himself. He won't be Iron Fist. So, that's fine. That's good. If they're looking to bring the Defenders back in, wait till Season 2 to bring some of them back in. They don't need to all be in Season 1. Interesting asterisk here. Sony refused to allow Spider-Man to be in the Daredevil series. They said, no, Spider-Man can only be in Avengers or solo films. And I think that's a big miss. All right.
I mean, it would be crazy, though. I mean, that would be such a huge pull. I'm trying to think what kind of has been the biggest crossover to the Disney Plus series. Well, nothing would be bigger than Spider-Man showing up.
Yeah, he was in Spider-Man No Way Home at the beginning. Remember, he was his lawyer. So they have.
Quid pro quo. Come on. Let's make it happen.
Come on. So we're letting you make Kraven. We're letting you put Kraven out into the world. We watched Madam Web. We paid money. At least let him have a little bit of Spider-Man. Just a
Yeah,
little bit.
come on.
It sucks. But I think, obviously we talked about Spider-Man being, gadgetless, just working the streets of New York. That'd be fun to see him with Daredevil. Say what you will about She-Hulk. Daredevil and She-Hulk in those She-Hulk episodes, pretty good, right? The scenes where he was in there with that. I would love to see some team-ups in these shows with other outside people. But Spider-Man will get a name drop in the upcoming series, even though he's not appearing in season 2 at this time. I feel
How'd to say his name? Thank God.
Yeah, we can say Spider-Man, owned by of the, was it the Spum? Is that what we call it? Sony Pictures of Marvel movies, the Spum universe Spider-Man. But we'll shift into some Spider-Man news here. I've got some more rumors. We're gonna keep feeding these rumor mills. Just throw the grain in. Per Scoopers, I think I might have shared this with you earlier this week. Is that Robert Downey Jr. will have a role as Doctor Doom in the upcoming Spider-Man movie. And it will be released in the middle of both Avengers movies and will bridge them kind of together. So I'm feeling it's going to be a battle world-esque situation. Not necessarily where they're fighting in battles on this, but like where it's like all these different New Yorks were pulled together and merged to create one patchwork New York.
Yeah, it's really starting to feel like this next Spider-Man movie is supposed to be doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like it's got a lot going on. It seems to be like the Captain America 3. This is kind of like, is this going to be like the Civil War where they're just setting all of these dominoes up for the next Avengers movie? I wasn't anticipating it, but I mean, Spider-Man's a big character, even though he's ostensibly kind of like a young teenager. I don't even know if he's technically a teen the next time we see him on screen. Seems like they're putting a lot in this next Spider-Man movie with all these scoops.
Yeah. And honestly, that might be, again, knowing that Sony owns this and what they push for, it may be like, look, we made $2 billion with the last Spider-Man movie. Let's do it again. But Marvel's probably trying to rein some stuff in. Like, we need to do some stuff in this as well. So we'll see what really comes out of these, because we've been talking Spider-Man rumors for weeks, if not months. So I just need a nice official announcement, Mike. Like, I would love to know the title, the cast, when's it coming out. I think that would really help assuage some of these rumors out here. But that also goes into the next part of this rumor, is that the movie Spider-Man 4 is taking on multiversal aspects and saving the street level stuff post Secret Wars because of its release in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. And that Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige himself, is pushing for street level after the return to the soft rebooted MCU, not to waste not necessarily waste, but put a street level Spider-Man movie in the middle of two huge Avengers films, right? At the end of the day. So
I guess it makes sense.
Yeah. My guess is this wasn't before Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Doctor Doom. It was probably not in the cards. It was going to be like, we're going to do small stuff and this, but then like if we got RDJ and he's got the history with Tom Holland and all this other fun stuff, so let's see what we can do. It just seems to be kind of getting bigger and bigger, but like you said, an announcement would help. Here's where I start to lean into very wary rumors, is that it could be a crossover for Venom and Spider-Man, that Null will be involved with this all black sword, not the same one from Thor: Love and Thunder, but I guess a proper one. And the character No Black Cat would not appear in this. Now, I take this all as asterisks. I think we are in the month, 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks before Venom 3. I think a lot of people are conflating Venom rumors with Spider-Man rumors, and I don't think this will merge.
And it makes you wonder how much we should be taking away from any post-credit scene in a Sony villain universe movie, right? We've had a lot of promises in those post-credit scenes that have barely turned out to be anything at all. So I'm sure that this Last Dance movie is going to have something teasing us at the end of the movie, and I would say it's a coin flip whether or not it ends up being anything.
Yeah, the last one was interesting. It had the them transport to that new universe, right, where they saw Spider-Man on screen, which was really... I think that one paid off well in No Way Home. The fact that they didn't have hardly a screen time. But, yeah, they are literally... I don't know if you've seen all the Venom stuff, Mike, but, like, is really the last ride. This is Tom Hardy's even like, I'm not gonna be Venom anymore. Like, this is it for me. Like, we've done our trilogy, we're done. I don't think he's gonna come back even for a Spider-Man movie, Mike. Like, I think when Tom Hardy says he's done with it, he's gonna be done with it. And if Venom comes into Spider-Man 4, it will be black suit Spider-Man. I don't think it's gonna be Venom as a character. It'll be Spider-Man and quote unquote the Venom symbiote together, if you will, right? So I just hope they're not conflating these rumors. The last bit of news here, that this is for Tom Holland. He'll be kickoff filming May 25th, 2025 through October of that year. And Tom Holland will do his Doomsday filming, Avengers Doomsday, prior to this. So he will film Avengers Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, then probably Secret Wars after that. So I'm excited for all this production to kick off in 2025. It sounds like it's going to be a busy year for all companies all around, right? Making things between DC and Marvel. So, and apparently Sony here. Yeah. I would love to see that.
It's a hot time to be in Atlanta and London. Yeah. Those are the places to be, and maybe Australia as well, and possibly Vegas if those tax credits get signed into law over there. Not Los Angeles. Ain't nothing happening out here.
No, and then James Gunn filmed all of like Superman in Ohio, right? So like, who knows where DC will film their stuff at this rate. So, yeah, I just Jared. I can't wait to see your on-set photos, man. Those guys have the best lenses. That's where all their advertising dollars go. So we'll be keeping you posted as more Spider-Man rumors come up along the way. Again, we're gonna jump into some rumors on Venom: The Last Stand. I bought my tickets for this, so I've seen some trailers here and there, but the rumor is that Noel is not going to have a lot of screen time overall. And we reported last week that Andy Serkis will be CGI him, but they say it's going to be laying the groundwork for future movies. This was tied into that Spider-Man 4 rumor where Noel will be in Spider-Man 4. I don't see how they'll do it. Hopefully it's just a rumor. And they'll just end with, like you said, an end credit scene that does nothing.
Yeah, people keep making JPEGs that say Spider-Man, the Black Knight, or the Black King, or something like
King
that.
King in Black.
King in Black, or whatever, which is a very weird title, I would think.
That's the name of the comic book series from that. So as we talked about last week, right? Marvel takes comic book titles, but they never do the story. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's a relatively new story, so we were talking about that being the quickest from comic to on-screen adaptation. But I don't know. I want to know what goes on in Sony's head when they send the lawyers over to the neutral ground conference room where they talk to Marvel's lawyers and they start hashing this stuff out. Because it's so funny to me. I'd love to be a fly on the wall.
Pirates of Caribbean style. They parlay out on the beach. But yeah, I mean, the other part of this was Andy Serkis has signed on to multiple films, with collaboration of Sony and Marvel Studios. Andy Serkis obviously was Claw in several movies, and then he's been he directed Venom 2, and now he's going to be CGI for Null. Contracts, they can sign up for 20 movies if they want to. That doesn't mean they're going to make 20 movies at the end of the day, right? It's just like, hey, if we make more, we want you to clear up your schedule for us. But I really feel if Kraven doesn't land in December, Mike, is the nail in the coffin for Sony's movies. They're not going to make any more at the cost. Expenditures.
It would be nice. I was listening to a entertainment podcast recently,
Superhero Slate,
where there where there had been some rumors out there that Sony might want to actually beef up their entertainment division and try to invest more in their studio side of things. So I don't know what that looks like. Spider-Man related, you could look at that as maybe they want to make even more, or you could look at it as let's sell this Spider-Man stuff, get a nice big chunk of change to get these rights sold, and then we'll invest that in something somewhere else. But it seems like they're still strategizing over there at Sony.
Yeah, I mean, I've also heard that they want to sell off completely, right, and just get rid of is it Columbia Pictures? at the end of the day. I'm looking up here. Madam Web worldwide box office, it was 100 million. I wish they told us how much they thought the production schedule or production costs were, but obviously they never release those officially. I want to say they're hemorrhaging money, and that's why we haven't seen advertising for Kraven yet. Venom, I think even if it doesn't make money, I think it will make money. But like because it's the last one, like they just need to break even. They're not looking to make a fourth one. But I think Kraven, all the time and money they put into it, the number of delays it's had, I think it is going to be it. But we'll go ahead and talk about it. We had a little bit of Kraven news here before we wrap up, and that's the new trailer for Kraven was classified to play in front of Venom 3, so expect them to be doing that. I'm going to estimate that there's no post-credit scenes in Venom tied to Kraven. Do you think that's true?
Yeah, that would be yeah. What that is the question, right? What is Venom trying to prop up at the end of the day? If this is a true like send off, end of a trilogy, I feel like a lot of times creatives want to keep the spirit of it and just send it off into the sunset, and they don't do any type of end credit scene like in Endgame.
I don't think
there's
they have
really
that dignity
no
there. They don't have that dignity.
Exactly. So I don't know.
It's gonna I think it's gonna be.
Let's
comedy.
find out what the hell's Vulture's up to.
Yeah,
let's just have all of Vulture's continuation in this universe just be an end credit scenes.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not in.
We'll
He's
stitch
not
them
in
all
this,
together.
He's not in this universe, though. He's in the Morbius universe.
Well, maybe an end credit scene could explain that, Chris.
No, I don't want that. If anything, it'll probably be funny. Something to do with like one of those fishes or frogs or the horse. What do you think? It'll be one of those animals.
Oh yeah, like there's like a little bit of symbiote left over, and it jumps on like a little field mouse or something, and it runs off into the sunset.
Yeah, it's something silly that's not. My guess is going to be something silly like that, a reference of something goofy they've done in the movie. Because Venom, at the end of the day, is more of a comedy than an action movie, or at least an attempt at comedy, right? It's like a buddy comedy. This one looks to be like a buddy comedy with travel involved. So we'll see what they do, but I don't think it'll be Kraven related. If Madam Web didn't tie into anything, Morbius tied into the ending of Spider-Man with the Vulture. Maybe Kraven will try to do it, but man, I think at this point they're just trying to be like, let's just hopefully that new deal Marvel made with them, they're like, no post-credit scenes. You cannot tie to Marvel anymore. Stop it. Cut it out. You want your millions of billions of dollars? Let us handle this, right? We haven't steered you wrong in 3 films, so hopefully that's it. But anyway, Kraven trailer. I'm excited to see the CGI wreck that is Rhino in this movie, and just absolutely probably go in 2 drinks in hand, Mike, liquor drinks. I'm not talking soft drinks, and drink myself to watch this movie on a matinee.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the Kraven popcorn bucket.
Yes.
We got to see what they got.
What you think it's going to be like something to do with like that big lion coat he has or something?
Maybe. Maybe.
It's going to be his little throne chair, isn't it? It's going to be the throne that he sits on, or like a rhino where you pop the horn back and you put the popcorn in it. And it's going to be awful. Why would you make me think about that? Let's ruin it. Now, I will say in terms of popcorn buckets, how do you feel about the Gladiator popcorn bucket? Speaking of Russell Crowe, who is in Kraven, that's how I'm going to tie this together. That's my segue there.
That's true. I mean, it's funny. That's not the type of movie I was expecting a popcorn bucket for. Mm-hmm. It's not exactly historical, but doesn't make me think that it's the type of audience that's looking for a popcorn bucket. But I guess it's a little closer to maybe an audience that goes to see a Dune. But it's kind of cool. It's a legit looking helmet on a cup and a bucket.
I think if you take the top of the popcorn cover off, the one on the hinge, right, and look at it, it looks like literally Victor Von Doom's mask if you take the top of the helmet off. So maybe there's a way to repurpose this into a Marvel bucket, like paint it up or something. It was that, and then somebody else showed me another. Maybe I think it's the Wicked stuff is starting to come out as well. That movie. So I'm not interested in that, but we'll see. Anyway, Mike, anything else you want to add to Kraven before we wrap up the show? Because we can only beat that dead horse so long.
I think that's another week in the bucket for
That's right. If people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, where can they find you at?
Yeah, they can read my webcomics at liferewardsrisk.com and pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN, or video game systems of the same name. While I'm playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, people know about the show, what we're doing, where we can come back every week as we inch closer and closer to 500 episodes in 10 years. Where can they find that at?
Yeah, all you got to do is visit superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show, to get our awesome show notes, to see what we've been talking about each week. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you love to listen to fine podcasts like ours. You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. Reach out, let us know what fast food collabs are you the most excited for this season. Let us know. We love our super fans, so if you want to be a super fan of the show, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right, and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.